So last year, Pyromancer issued copyright strikes against me and threatened to sue me, and the reason why I remained quiet about all of that until now is because I believe that it would be a good thing, he would be a good thing, a net good for the Final Fantasy XIV community overall. I do now believe that I was wrong for keeping all this information from you. Now, I've defended Pyromancer publicly several times in several videos, but he doesn't actually view those videos or my previous words as a defense, because I had nothing that I could really offer him, nothing that he could benefit or grow from in those videos. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this now is last night I got caught up on all the latest drama within the Final Fantasy XIV community, watching Xeno's videos on the subject, and for me it became very clear that Pyromancer, one of his core issues is that he actually really doesn't watch or really even listen to the videos about him. He just gets angry that people are talking about him because he wants to control the narrative around him, and it's only when that gets out of his wheelhouse or his control does he issue an apology video. And since my name came up and statements were made about me, I thought I would provide hopefully some clarity, some context, some compassion for the latest round of Final Fantasy XIV drama. Now, I do want to take some time to address the accusations that I called Pyro a clown and that I was psychoanalyzing him or whatnot. But first, I really want to say this. If you like Pyro, support him. If you mod for him, that's great. I'm not here to change your mind or your view about him, but please do me one favor and add Pray for him to that list. That's the thing I think is immensely apparent, and that's something that I think we could all do that would be a net positive for Pyro and perhaps even the Final Fantasy XIV community overall. Mental health is no joke, and especially for men, it feels way more important now than ever. We need to be real with each other online, and we need to continue to encourage him or anyone else out there struggling, because there is plenty of things to be struggling with right now, to put in the hard work. Right now, we have an epidemic of loneliness. And for me, while many people don't want to talk about it as a crisis, there is a crisis unfolding before our very eyes, especially when it comes to masculinity and what it means to be a man. So please, if you don't like Pyro, stop attacking him. If you see him, be polite to him. Treat him as a fellow broken human being. I get that there's entertainment in trying to meme on and get him to kind of rant or explode. That's what many people within his community say the reason why they follow him and watch him. They're there to egg him on until he explodes and has another viral moment. That's personally very concerning, but I'm gonna let you decide how you want to engage with content creators. Now, that all being said, I'd like to now clarify some of the statements brought up against me. First, I do not recall calling him a clown. I do recall calling him a child after he went on some kind of tirade about me because I defended him. However, looking back at it now, if I did call him a clown, I will actually stand by that statement. We are all clowns. We're all, like, from an entertainment perspective, like, that's kind of the idea behind it. And it feels like there's some kind of friction between the understanding of what all is happening and what it means to be a content creator versus anything else. You put yourself in a public space, you open yourself up to conversation, to whatever this is, commentary, like that is a part of it. And so, yeah, I think that he's a clown. I think we are all clowns to some degree. Now, second, I don't really view myself actually as an entertainer, even though that's a part of what it means to be a content creator. Outside of my stand-up comedy, I view myself more as an educator than anything else. In all of my defenses of Pyro, where they were all I was really trying to teach people how to forgive, and that it is understandable to get angry. Hell, I get angry. But the other aspects of the educator in me is what we all know to be part of the Final Fantasy XIV community, the classic rug pull. Pyro had massive numbers. And when he came into the scene, the question that we were all asking was, how big is the rug pull going to be once he finishes the story, once he's all caught up? And we got our answer. It was absolutely massive. And this was fueled by his lack of understanding of that it was coming. Because one of the things that we've learned through my interactions with him is he really doesn't listen unless you have something he wants. And so when I sat down to talk about his analytics, that was fueled by me, hopefully to try and help you understand. Imagine if your paycheck got cut in half. Imagine if all of a sudden, like, you were putting in more work and getting less money. Like, as a man, as a provider, that is absolutely stressful. That happened to me last year. Growing up, I watched my dad and family go through it. We lost everything. I watched my dad lay on the couch because he couldn't move because of depression for a year. And that still affects me today. It impacts my choices. It impacts how I approach things. And so with empathy and sincerity, I feel for Pyro. And that's all that was. But I don't think he heard that. I don't think he's hearing it now. And I can't control that. And that's okay, because I literally, when you put something out in the world, it is what it is. You can't control how people interact with it and how they engage with it and how they perceive it. That's the risk of putting anything in a public space. Let's continue on. I could go on a whole other rant about that, because I start to get it's personal for me, and the feel and if I did wasn't clear enough, that's on me. Let's be real. I can always look back and see how I can improve and how I can communicate this. Perhaps it would have been a better use of my time to not just show Pyro's numbers, but show other content creators who've had that same kind of rug pull. He was just bigger than everybody else, so for him it felt more personal, and it was only then fueled by his lack of understanding. He then sees everything, and that puts that pressure on, and then he explodes, and then he explodes again, and then he gets, in my in my personal view to this day, attacked by the Final Fantasy XIV community, by the trolls reporting him, which that happens all the time. And that's not fair. That's wrong to call out. It's wrong. It's wrong to say that should not happen. But at the same time, these other things still aren't also excusable. And I did say that he should get a ban, and people interpreted that as a permaban. Just note that growing up, bans were never permanent. There was always the permaban. That's just the nomenclature that I use when thinking of it, a 3-day ban, because I don't think content creators should have special privileges. They shouldn't be separate because of the marketing value they provide to any specific game. And being that he was violating terms, that's why I was like, you know what, it'd be fair, take your 3-day ban. Literally, you would grow from it. We've seen bans don't hurt content creators. They're gifts to content creators. And so that's essentially kind of the logic that I had going into it. So I stated that. I want to clarify that here for you today. Now, I could be wrong. I don't believe personally that he actually has threatened to sue Xeno or Asmongold or Zepla or anyone with a bigger number than him. Heck, based off of Xeno and Pyro's own words, it really personally to me felt like he was bragging about being a part of Asmongold's podcast and all of these things. I didn't feel like I heard an apology, but that's just my perspective, okay? Anyway, my personal perspective, like I said, on this is that for Pyro, I feel like it's all about control. He wants to control the narrative and the public perception of this. And the thing that doesn't really make sense to me, and I'm going to share with you guys here, and you guys can decide, etc. When Pyro gets angry, it's not like he isn't sharing things that have some degree of truth to them, right? When he gets angry, when you listen to his words, I don't think he's very gracious. I don't think he's very empathetic when he's ranting, but he's saying things that aren't fundamentally false. The latest thing apparently is about him dogging on small streamers. I think he could have stated it differently, but it's hard for small streamers. And for some people, small streamers, maybe they don't really care to be the biggest streamer out there. Maybe, there is a difference between somebody who's got 100 and somebody who's got 1,000 active viewers. So I think he could have said it better, but there is still a fundamental truth that it's a small streamer is somebody, how I would say it, it's they're on their way up. Let's not discourage them. Let's try to teach them some of the things and questions they have. They're putting themselves out there. That should be celebrated. It should be celebrated, right? But it comes off, at least from, and again, I don't want to relitigate that whole mess. It's comes off that he's, saying you might as well give up. And I don't agree with that. But it's different for somebody who's got 5 viewers versus someone who's got 1,000. especially when it comes to like ads and revenue. And that's where this whole thing gets messy, personally speaking. Now, I've shared, because, the belief is that he had, people are making content around him just to make money. I've shared how much money that generated, and it was bupkis. It was nothing. I make way more money in content by doing the things that I love. Educating people as a software engineer, building guides, having these great like community feedbacks, not this drama stuff. This isn't what I want. This isn't the attention I want. But I feel like I have the ability to speak from a perspective of empathy, from a perspective of, understanding the context, what's going on around them, like as both a content creator, as a man, as a provider, as somebody who, likes attention, like all of these things. I think I can bring that and to provide some level of encouragement for compassion. But that doesn't align with his worldview. Again, like my number's smaller, so it doesn't necessarily matter. Bigger number of people, oh, let's get together and collab and things like that. That does kind of hurt me. I'm not gonna, I'm being honest here. Like that hearing that was frustrating, personally. But it is what it is. So, for me, here's my concern, right? So Pyro keeps telling us that streaming is bad for him. Okay, man. Like that sucks, right? But he also keeps telling us he's in therapy. Okay? Is anyone telling him that it's okay not to stream? I like attention, like anybody else. That's where I'm concerned. My concern here is that he's stuck. He can't stop streaming because he doesn't have another avenue. And so hopefully, like when it comes down to it, I get that attention could be addicting, right? Like any other drug out there. But I do find this statement about him being in therapy, and I have a hard time reconciling it because what he's doing is dangerous for him, right? Now, this is all my assumption, but I would think or hope that a good therapist would help him come up with a plan to at least transition away from live streaming so much. Not to stop, but so much. And I think it's essentially he's kind of chasing that old high of those big numbers. Back when Twitch was paying out wildly. But it's not just for him, it's for everybody that's like a streamer right now. Like, man, like it's tough for them. Like I've talked to many of you guys. The problem is like, in terms of thinking about it as a business, like if you run your own business, which I have, it's like publicly everything's going great, but behind the scenes, you're like, we're trying to figure this all out. So there is that sense of like not being able to be your true self. I think when Pyro's angry, like that's his true self. But anyway, I hope that, all of those things are true. I want to continue, and we should continue to encourage him to put in the work. Now, furthermore, here's where things kind of get weird as well. Pyro banned Chris, my friend Chris, which I felt to be pretty extreme, but maybe we can write this off as maybe some overzealous mod or something else. Just by association did Chris get banned, which is strange to me personally, but I'm just going to kind of put that out there, let you guys figure out what you want to do with that information. And at the end of the day, I personally hope this does not end in a lawsuit. Pyro said he would come, that would come my way if I obviously spoke about this stuff publicly. I'm not made of money. Got like 6 kids to feed and provide for. And so if it ends up coming down to that, hopefully I don't have to put out, any kind of help me video or something of that nature. But guys, here's the thing. If you don't, take anything else away from this video, if you see Pyro, obviously at FanFest, be nice to him. But note, he's there on a business trip. Like this is, content creation is a business, whether we as gamers want to like that or not, and that in and of itself, like, I hope that if you do hang out with him, that he's a wonderful person. I hope that he's a wonderful person in real life. And then we should obviously continue to encourage him to keep working on himself. But personally, I believe and the word that he uses, entity, that was a little bit, I don't know, like that did not, kind of was weird. Like, it's kind of hard to say. I didn't like that word. I thought it was weird, but I'm going to use his word. I feel the real entity in this case is Pyro, and the mask is Taylor at this point. I do wish him all the best, and hopefully he's going to start like actually making content for his YouTube videos and stop making apologies. I think that was what I was always hopeful for him especially as a content creator, is that when Twitch is down, like, YouTube could be up. But it is what it is. It's his choice to do what he wants, and I just wish him all the best. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with me. And yeah, I love you. Love your faces. Be good to one another. Everybody's going through hard times, and so you never know what's going on behind someone when the camera's off, right? So just be nice to people. I think that's the best thing we can do. Anyway, love you guys. Take care.